My name is Jared Bond. I've been in high ticket sales for 7 years, generated millions upon millions in revenue, and averaged between 20 to 50,000 per month in commissions. And what I'm going to be doing today is giving you the key lessons of things I wish I knew getting into high ticket sales 7 years ago. Starting high ticket sales, what I wish I knew. So the basics, if you are looking at high ticket sales or you are currently selling in a different industry, wondering if you can do better, earn more in high ticket sales, I'm going to lay out the basics here for you really quickly. So high ticket sales essentially is just selling an offer for at least 5,000-ish dollars or more, put simply. And these offers are typically virtual products or services. So you might think of someone helping fitness coaches run their paid ads, or someone offering a B2C, in other words, business to consumer solution for helping busy executives get in shape. Or it could be an agency offering local small businesses digital marketing services. So there's a whole array of offers, but they're essentially these types of virtual products or services that are at least $5,000 plus. Typically, these high ticket offers are centered around some type of social media figure. So often the CEO is quite prominent. They're the practitioner. So if they're selling a fitness program, they're the one that is jacked and super in shape and well known for that. If they are selling content creation services, they are typically, big into like viral content strategies and content creation. So you'll find a lot of times that it is typically around a figurehead in the business within social media. And the beauty of high ticket is there are infinite offers and opportunities because there are untold creators and business owners that are popping up left and right every single day that have very strong, very compelling offers and need closers to effectively close these deals. So it is a great industry to be in because there is really no shortage of opportunity, really, ever. And the last thing about high ticket sales that it is pretty much 99% remote and independent contractor. And that's really key. Like if you're coming from a corporate sales where you're stuck in an office, or maybe you're still remote, but you're 9 to 5 because they pay you a salary and own your time, or you're doing door to door and you're busting down people's doors left and right in prospecting neighborhoods, and you're sweating your ass off every day, is quite an improvement of lifestyle being remote. And then the independent contractor piece of this, which is so fantastic, means that because you are not a W-2 employee, they don't pay you for your time. You are completely time free. So as an independent contractor, they legally cannot set your hours or tell you how to perform your work because it would break 1099 status. And then the IRS would essentially reclassify you as a W-2 employee. And that's no bueno because then they owe all the payroll taxes and all the stuff that comes along with employing people. So long story short, you are nearly always remote. So you get to control your location, and nearly always independent contractor, meaning you're not paid a salary, but because they don't own your time, you have total freedom for how you want to perform your work and where you want to perform. So now commission, what to expect in high ticket roles, and more so what to look out for. So you have a bit of a barometer when evaluating opportunities. Below $500 a deal, I would consider low tier. And I've been in this space again for 7 years, and I have sold products or services that were below $500. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, but it is undesirable to say the least in terms of the amount of deals that you have to produce, the amount of hours you have to invest to generate the type of income that you want. Just do the math and think about how many deals you'd need on $300 a pop to generate the income that you want. And you'll find very quickly that it is very challenging, if not unattainable. So I would strongly encourage to look away from opportunities that are paying less than $500 in commissions, because they also attract lower tier reps and are typically a bit more entry level, let's say. Now, what you really want to see is 1,000 plus per deal. And if you're maybe in an industry that is a bit lower commission, this might sound like a lot, but the reality is I have worked in several offers that were, I'd say minimum $1,000 a deal. And it's actually a lot more common than you think. And we're going to talk a bit more about that in a moment in terms of where those types of opportunities lie. But when you're or in the right industry and in the right sector, and selling to the right types of prospects, $1,000 a deal is actually quite common. And to kind of back that up a little bit with just a quick receipt, here's a month where I generated 43K. It was actually 45, but one deal got pushed off to the next month due to an onboarding delay. But in terms of cash collected for me, I made 43K. And again, you're never going to earn commissions like that if you're selling something for $500 or less, or $300 or anywhere in that ballpark. You're not going to produce numbers like that. So this is why when you're looking at commission tiers and you are evaluating these opportunities, you really want to see something at least $500 a pop, but I would really try to aim for the thousands. As far as time, what to expect in terms of time commitment, what you're seeing here is when I was selling for the offer that was, sub $500 a deal. And this was my life. I am face planted, passed out into a love sack because I was so exhausted with the hours that I was putting in. My body literally isn't even fully on the love sack. I was truly the most stressed and tired I've ever been. Yes, there's something to be said for paying your dues and putting in your hours. But again, that's why my goal here is to, shortcut you a little bit past these sort of pitfalls that you're going to encounter sometimes struggling through the industry on your own. So what I want to pass through back to you after 7 years is that you truly do not have to sacrifice your life like I did to produce the income that you want. If you're selling 12 hours a day, you're probably doing it wrong. And doing it wrong can mean two things. Number one, you're not trained properly, so you could have greater efficiency. You could put in the same effort and get better results without having to put in more effort. So we're making you more efficient by making you better. And the other half of it is the actual offer. Perhaps you do have great intangibles. Perhaps you do have some prior training and you have some pretty strong skills, but you're just in an environment where it's impossible to generate that income no matter how good you are, which means the offer sucks, right? So there's kind of two components of this, but in terms of the time element, high commissions do not equal burnout. So to make a month like this, you do not have to work yourself to death to achieve these types of results. And to prove that to you, here is my actual calendar from the month I actually made 43 grand. This is the honest to God receipt here of my work. And so what you'll see is these are all hour-long blocks. So 1, 2, 3 means 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 3 different calls. And then I have a break so I can recharge, get myself locked and loaded for my second stretch. And then I have 3 calls again, and then I'm out by 2 p.m. So I would work 6 hours, 6 hours, 6 hours, 6 hours. And even that Friday, I even gave myself a half day. I forget why, and had a couple empty slots. And then there was another point in this month where I took another half day. I really can't remember why, to be honest, but I was working literally 6 hours or less per day. And I pulled in that 43 grand. And even not just talking about the best months ever. I mean, some months I'd make 27 grand, around there, and working the same schedule, right? So it's something to where coming into high ticket, I just want to kind of gauge your expectations. If the expectation is that you have to, grind yourself to a crisp in order to generate the income that you want, you're not in the right opportunity, or you need to tune up your skills. So that is an expectation that I do want to set. The whole goal of high ticket sales is to have time freedom, location freedom, and have the quality of life that you want. And it's a step backwards if now you're getting into this, but now your quality of life is worse, right? So this is a good barometer of kind of your current situation, and something to keep in the back of your head. Now, as far as industries and high ticket sales, there's 2 key sectors, right? There's B2B, which is business to business. You're a business selling a service to another business, or B2C. You are a business selling a product or service to a general consumer. So here's the difference. With B2B, you're dealing with people that have higher budgets because these are business owners. They have revenues, they have marketing budgets. They're used to spending money on services to grow their business, and they have more cash and revenues to invest. So typically with higher budgets, you're charging higher prices. So instead of charging, $3,000 for like your fitness transformation to the B2C type of person, you're charging $15,000 for a paid ad strategy to a business, right? Or $30,000 or $50,000 for a content strategy to a business. They're also logical decisions. So these are very much business decisions, right? The proposition isn't making the business owner feel good. The proposition is making the business owner more money. And you can very logically prove that with the right offer. Like, hey, here's our results. Here's what we guarantee. here's the lifetime value of your customer, and here's how many customers we need to generate to break even on this. I mean, here's our average result. Therefore, it should be pretty much a no-brainer that we'll be able to drive a return for you on this, right? That's really how basic the thought process is, which is why I personally strongly prefer B2B amongst these other reasons. Next is the obvious, is the commissions. You're going to make higher commissions the more expensive your offer is, right? Because you're getting a slice of the pie. So you don't want a slice of a tiny pie or a slice of a big pie. And that's what B2B offers. And so as well with that offer that I generated, that 43K month that you just saw, our average price was, 30 plus $1,000. So I was pulling in thousands of dollars every single deal, which is what made that type of earning possible. And now even more specifically, so even within B2B, my further recommendation would be anything digital marketing related. And there's several reasons why. Within digital marketing, it is one of the biggest industries in the world. It is $780 billion in terms of its global market. It experiences between 11 to 14% annual growth, which is insane when you're talking about numbers this big, like 780 billion. And there's nearly 500,000 agencies worldwide, which is berserk. So the opportunity is absolutely gigantic in digital marketing. Typically, the services are, much more expensive because you're selling to businesses, obviously. And the skills are things that you should learn. Most anything in this life nowadays requires digital marketing experience, understanding, website landing page development, how to run paid ads, create a social media creative and short form video, the whole works, right? Those are skills you need. But more importantly, those are services that every single business on the face of the earth needs as well. So the need is always there, and it's just an incredible market, incredible services, and typically they average some of the highest commissions from what I see in my entire career is in B2B digital marketing services. Now, on the other side of the coin, you have B2C, which is business to consumer again. So these are typically things like transformations, like helping someone, develop their physical fitness, or skills, right? Helping someone get better at, investing or day trading, right? Personal development, investing opportunities, like I was just saying. So these, you might even be like, like a relationship coach who helps someone develop their skills, like, dating women. So these are all the things that you're going to help the average Joe with. Typically, it's health, wealth, and relationships. Excuse me. Yeah, health, wealth, and relationships are typically some of the biggest categories. The thing about B2C is you're going to get lower commissions per deal, but typically it's higher volume. And I say typically because with good B2B offers, sometimes it can still rival the volume of B2C, and you're just making a crap ton more as well on each deal. But because it's a lot less expensive, often you're going to be able to have a higher throughput of deals, but you're just going to be making less on the deals. The other thing too is you're typically dealing with lower budgets because you're selling the average Joe. You're not selling a business owner who has $100,000 a month of top line revenue, so you can easily squeeze in an extra, $5,000 a month worth of marketing services, right? This is something where someone's coming out of their personal savings, out of their personal income to invest into something. And that's not a knock on it. It's just kind of a fact of what B2C selling is. So that's one of the constraints is lower budgets. The other thing too is they are emotional decisions. These are people that are making decisions to some way, shape, or form improve their life. This is not, if you give us $1, we're going to probably return you about $4 from this investment, like a B2B type of sale. This is something to where they are really emotionally buying in terms of how they might feel being in the best shape of their life, how they might feel having their dream partner, how they might feel getting passive income and leaving their 9 to 5, right? These are personal value propositions that are a bit more of an emotional sale. So if you're someone that loves inspiring, loves, people, loves self-development and these different types of things, and is someone that can really work well with emotions, I would say B2C is great for you. And for me, I am someone that is very logical, very to the point, very 1 + 2 = 3 type of thought process. And so B2B is a bit more up my alley. But those are going to be kind of the two key differentiators of industries when it comes to your evaluation of roles in high ticket. Now, lead sources. Generally, when it comes to high ticket, the beauty of high ticket is we are purely inbound. Now, if you are, let's say, insurance and you are just absolutely crushing the phones to generate interest, or you're in solar and pest control services and you're doing door to door. Or maybe like you're in medical device sales and you're at like major medical conferences, flying all over the country, doing all this crazy stuff to create these deals. That's just what makes high ticket sales just absolutely superior in every category is just the fact that it's inbound, because you're getting people that book onto your calendar. Because again, you're an independent contractor, so you control your hours. So they literally can only book when you want them to. So kind of contrast that to, cold calling, let's say, or door to door, where you're essentially, begging these people for interest, not literally begging, but you know what I mean? You have to create the interest and squeeze it into their realm of priority. Whereas with inbound, I mean, you say, all right, I'm going to be free from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and that's it. And that's all you're going to make, allow prospects to book into. It's more of like you're allowing them to book onto your calendar. And then you get that calendar filled up and they're already intentful. They're already, problem aware. They're already typically pretty well versed on your offer because they've looked at the ads, they've looked at your content, they've done their analysis, which is why they've booked. So you already inherently are coming in with leverage because they are coming to you. They need you. Something about your marketing, your content, your ads, whatever, made them feel like you could potentially be a solution. So they're coming problem aware, solution aware, and pretty warm, where you're coming in with that leverage because it's kind of like a they need you type of situation versus you begging for their attention and interest. So that's something to be aware of with high ticket sales. Is it is an entirely inbound machine, and these are typically generated via organic content, paid ads, and funnels to completely remove the entire interest generation process. In high ticket sales, the interest generation is done via the marketing. So your entire job that you do, depending on what industry you're in, of creating that interest is completely cut out and done by the high ticket offer itself. So you just get to show up to people that are there to talk to you, that want to talk to you, that want a solution, for you just to provide that solution and see if it's a fit, which is what makes it incomparable to other styles of selling. Now, something to be aware of when it comes to the type of offer, I will tell you this from experience, that if you are talking to prospects in high ticket sales that are uneducated, in other words, they barely know anything about your offer, right? Like they're coming in there just haphazard and you have to do this whole education bit, right? Low intent. Like they're like, yeah, I was just kind of checking it out. Like, I don't know. I saw an ad, like whatever. People like that. And you're having to hard close these people. Like it is like pulling freaking teeth to get them over the line. If these three things are present in the offer, that's a bad offer. And most times it's not your fault. So I want to make sure that you guys, don't think you're crazy, because I've seen it all, and kind of from a bird's eye view, I can kind of make these types of judgments. And what I can tell you is how could it be your fault if the high ticket offer isn't properly generating interest, educating the customers, bringing people through the funnel, upper funnel kind of awareness, middle funnel getting that trust and that authority and education, and then getting them to that bottom funnel hand raise when they're ready. And if that's executed properly, what you'll get is educated prospects who already are informed and aware about what you guys do and have pretty good understanding already. They have some intent, like they're like, yeah, like if this makes sense, we do want to move forward, right? And that's your job, of course, to make it make sense. And then logical closing. These types of people, you can just make it make sense, right? Like, this is your problem, this is the solution, this is why we're here, and maybe here's something we can do for signing up today. But that's really it, right? Like, it should be very seamless. You should be a very high level consultant that is just kind of plugging them into what they need. That's the sign of a good offer, a company that has done their marketing properly. So kind of keep this in the back of your head as well for evaluating offers, things that I definitely wish I knew as well. Now, for offers, how you evaluate a good offer as well. Some of the key indicators. Number one, you want to look at their reviews. Go to their Trustpilot, which is very common for high ticket offers, particularly even Clutch a lot of times, usually for like digital services, Google reviews. So you want to look at the offer like you're a prospect, like you need the service and you're comparing them to other services out there and how they would perceive you. This is how you want to look at the offer to know if you'll be able to have success there. Because chances are, if you're not sold and if you don't buy into their social proof, prospects aren't either. So they should have great reviews. You should be able to have great case studies. Like, it should be very easy to find these case studies. They should be all over their content. It should be linked directly into their landing page or to their website. They should be well produced, have great results. You need strong case studies. They have great social media content. So when you go to their socials, does it look like, like a 60, 65-year-old like plumbing business owner who never even tried to attempt social media? Or is it people that are in studios with great quality and audio and visuals and scripts and really compelling value propositions and good engagement? Those are things that are going to really make or break the quality of your leads. So you want to make sure that their social media content is tight. Paid ads, also one of the largest contributors, perhaps if not the largest contributors to lead gen in most offers, is these paid ads. And so what you want to do is just kind of interact with their content, like click around their social medias and stuff, and you will start getting retargeted. Well, if they're doing it properly, you should start getting retargeted. If you don't get retargeted, that's probably not a good sign. But what you want to see with these ads is that they have sharp paid ads, like the content's super good, the value proposition's great, maybe their guarantees, their offers, whatever it is. You want to see that they have like a really, really strong paid ad mechanism firing up. And the funnel. So you want to look at their landing page, their lead intake forms, their VSL, which means video sales letter. You've probably seen these with high ticket offers. It's on the main landing page. It's that main video where like the founder or whoever is giving kind of the basic elevator pitch of who it's for, what it does, all that good stuff. So kind of look at their landing page, make sure they have a really, really well put together and compelling landing page. Go through the lead intake form, make sure they're qualifying leads properly. You should definitely not be able to just book a call. There should be things like, hey, like, when do you want to get started? What's your budget range? What's your revenues? If you're a business, like it's B2B perhaps, or, anything like that, that shows that they are properly screening people is going to be very, very important. Take my word for it. When you are selling high ticket offers, if they do not have proper friction in that lead intake process, you're going to be talking to people from all corners of the world and all types of stages of interest. And you want a very tight intake process. And that VSL should obviously be very well produced, very compelling, that sort of stuff. So that's the funnel. And then last, something that is just a very helpful bonus is the founder is well known. Especially in the high ticket space, it's very social media centric. Typically, the founders and CEOs are big on social media. They do run paid ads with them as the speaker and things like that. So I would definitely lean towards offers where the CEO has a big social media presence, already generates lots of organic interest, because that's going to be very important for the credibility of the offer you're selling. So when you're trying to close people, you can, show the credibility of your company, of the founder, how large they are, how much of a practitioner they are at what we're selling. And that just helps everything perform a lot better. So those are very key things just from 7 years of experience that you want to really, really validate and vet when you are checking out offers in high ticket. A culture thing, I hope this goes without saying, but I just want to say it anyways. Definitely a huge red flag culturally if it's like the Wolf of Wall Street thing, where it's promoting burnout. It's a super controlling and like toxic thing. You're like on the leash of your sales manager or like the CEO, and they're like treat you like sweatshop workers. I just want to be very clear that especially in high ticket, high performance does not equal sweatshop. So I don't know where you're coming from, whether it's the insurance grind, whether it's the door-to-door grind, whatever. But I definitely would encourage and certainly believe that you should very much stray away from any companies that are like this, because there's no longevity in that. It's you're going to burn out fast. It's honestly disrespectful. It's hard to grow. You don't get the proper support and positive encouragement and good training and things like that to really develop you. These are more just like grab cash at any cost, sink or swim. Absolutely could not give less of a shit about you as an actual person. And those environments are just very non-conducive to success. And I want to be clear that that is not what high ticket entails with the right offers. So you definitely do not need to tolerate that. There definitely are very like loser type of sales environments, but those are offers that we would not even recommend in the first place. So definitely looking for conscious companies, those that do support you, that do want to see you grow, that do want to help train you, that do sort of operate based on performance and not nepotism. Those who are quick to promote to better leads if their performance is there, not those who favor their favorite sales guy. And it just becomes like a toxic type of culture, right? So you want a place where you have longevity, that respect your independent contractor kind of independence, that are supportive, things like that. So definitely a huge factor for your success in high ticket is really making sure that companies kind of embody these principles. And then lead rotation, I actually just alluded to this, but a quick note is you want to make sure that lead rotation is performance based and not seniority based. So questions you would ask the offer that you're thinking about working for would be things like, how are leads allocated in terms of quality? Or if I prove performance, or if I prove to have comparable close rate in numbers to top performers here, can I immediately be moved up to those leads? Or is there a sort of a seniority ladder? And that's really important because you do not want to be stuck in a nepotism environment where no matter how good you are, you're not going to get the shot. And so those types of questions will make it very clear from the get-go. As far as starting points for you getting into high ticket, the beauty of you coming from sales, wherever that might be, is you have the intangibles. High ticket, it's truly very simple. And I know there's probably a lot out there that makes you perhaps think it is a bit complex with how you objection handle and like all this stuff with high ticket prospects. It's very simple. And that's the goal of the training that we have, like the actual flagship training, is to help you transition into high ticket and just kind of port those skills into a high ticket sort of context. It's a very, very simple process of how these high ticket sales calls go. And if you do have the sales experience in another industry, it is possible for you to go straight into being a closer. What I have here, just as a food for thought, is being a setter or an SDR, a sales development rep, otherwise known as an appointment setter. These are people that don't close the deals. They're just the ones who are confirming calls. When people book a call, they're the ones that call the prospect immediately and qualify them a bit and confirm the meeting and all that stuff, right? So it's a bit of a lower pressure entry point. Like if you want to get into high ticket sales, but maybe you kind of want to start a little bit less sort of pressure on you to close these deals, being a setter is a great way to get acclimated to the offer that you're at, learn the ropes, watch call recordings, see how the closers are doing what they do, practice, learn from them, do the trainings at your offer, and then you can graduate into being a closer and start taking some calls. So something to ask as well, if you are thinking about being a setter first, is if there is a sort of a pathway to being a closer once you're at the role. You just want to make sure that there is upward mobility and that you can make that jump. Typically, it's very common. I actually did that my first ever offer. I was zero sales experience, started as a setter, knocked it out of the park, and I was very hungry and transitioned to full-time closer in like 2-3 months. So very possible, but I believe probably most of you will be able to port straight into closer role, but just food for thought as well. Training. So what's going to be important for you is, as I was alluding to shortly ago, is porting over your current sales skills into the context of high ticket. And training, take my word for it, is the number one factor for speed to results. Because the reality is you can lose sales while learning, or you can just start elite, right? It doesn't make any sense to fumble through learning and problems and objections and these different experiences when people, including myself, have done this for years and years and years and can just tell you exactly what to do and how to handle nearly every situation from the get-go. And that's going to allow you to propel you into very, very quick success in the high ticket. Because again, that is the number one factor to getting you to those results as quickly as possible, especially coming from a different background. It's sort of like plugging those skill sets into high ticket. So you kind of know how to build rapport, you know how to generate interest, you know how to close, right? You've got a lot of intangibles, but it's just going to make things exponentially faster, saying, all right, let's take those raw skills and here's exactly how you apply them to high ticket. So you can just be pumped out immediately as an elite high ticket closer because you've already got the skills once again. So I strongly recommend getting in high ticket training. That's how I ramped up the fastest. The original organization I worked at the very beginning, training was the number one priority. We had every single week, several times a week, full sales team trainings, role plays, call recordings. As a setter, I listened to the calls of my closer who I set appointments for so I could listen to how they closed my own appointments. and I was able to very, very, very quickly speed up to closer within 2, 3 months. So this is how I ramped up. This is how I helped others ramp up. I've done my sales training as well, actually in that organization too, and I helped. I believe it was upwards of about 20 different salespeople. I built a sales team and ramped people up extremely quickly. Instead of just letting them suffer through calls and just banging their head against the wall forever and maybe just failing, I was able to say, here's what you do, here's how you do it. Every day we're improving like Kaizen, constantly refining sharpening that blade. And then almost, within the same month, I mean, they were, crushing the game, producing incredible results as if they've been there forever. So word from the wise, it's how I did it. It's how I've helped many others do it. Training is absolutely paramount to getting you to those results as fast as possible. So as far as next steps, what I recommend, number one is don't be overwhelmed. I know this looks like a lot to evaluate, a lot of pitfalls and variables when like selecting offers and how to, get into high ticket and how to kind of uh, adapt your skills to sell in high ticket, right? There's definitely a lot to it. But once again, you have the fundamentals. So I want to give you that confidence and inspiration. That's why I don't work with people who have never been in sales, because taking you from 0 to 1 is a lot. But you guys have already kind of gone from 0 to 1 if you're watching this video. And I'm just basically here to kind of sharpen you like a blade for high ticket and get you into the right role. So that's what we do here at Bond Sales. We do full high ticket sales training based on my 7 years of high ticket sales experience, millions and millions and millions of generated revenue throughout my career. And my understanding of the market, which is why we also do the staffing component, because it's not enough just to give you the training. Like you could be an incredibly trained, sharp, elite high ticket closer, but if you're not in the right environment, you're still not going to be making money. So that's why we make this a full service solution. We'll train you up like a blade in a very, very short amount of time. It's a maximum 90 days. And that's really just a boilerplate thing. Realistically, depending on where you're starting from, we can probably get you out of the training. I mean, sometimes within even a month and into an actual very lucrative high ticket offer. And that's where we'd go into the staffing component. So if any of this sounds interesting, if you feel overwhelmed looking at this, or even more so, you just would like it handled for you and someone is to say, here's how you sell, here's where you sell, go. I would love to help. If you'd like, what you can do is back in the bio where you click this link, most likely, of Bond Sales at Bond_sales Instagram account. In that same little link tree, you can click apply. And what it'll do is take you to my landing page and in VSL. And then you can click the application, run through a brief intake survey, and then book a call. And we can see where you're at, what your goals are, if this makes sense, and if I can confidently help you and get you to that type of 10,000 per month minimum income that I'm sure you're looking to get. So thanks for watching, and looking forward to hopefully meeting you soon.